In general, look, I mean, all of us, none of us want harmful content on our platforms. I think last quarter alone, we removed 9 million videos from the platform. More recently, we have introduced, just like today we do this in search, we rank content based on quality. And so we're bringing that same notion and approach to YouTube so that we can rank higher quality stuff better and really prevent borderline content which doesn't exactly violate policies which need to be removed, but which can still cause harm.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to look at new reports surfacing that are talking about recently declassified documents which seem to show that compelling eyewitness testimony, indicated that there were multiple shooters present at the Las Vegas massacre back in 2017, which is right around the same time that QAnon started. We're going to see what QAnon had to say about it because it kind of tells the whole story. You guys are going to want to stick around and check this out. I am Craig and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I always like to say thank you to everybody who's hit that subscribe button. Again, in case you guys missed the last episode, big thank you to everybody who's helped get us to 200,000 subscribers on YouTube. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. If you guys haven't, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. So, still nothing to report new on the Q boards, but today we're going to do a little bit of a review. And I know that for a lot of you out there, before you jump straight down the comments and go, we knew about this before, trust me, there's some information here. We're going to tie some things together that a lot of people need to hear, and it may serve as a reminder to the real, supposedly real media out there that they need to start covering these stories more closely, in my humble opinion. But with that being said, obviously, like I said, nothing to report here. We're still at Q Post 3349, kind of in a holding pattern. I have a feeling we're going to get a big surprise sometime around July 4th, but that's just me. So, with that being said, I always encourage everyone to come back here, watch these last videos if you want to get caught up. Basically, there's a lot of information we've been covering here on the channel lately, and a lot of information that you guys need to see. So I really would encourage everyone to come check out these last videos, share them on your social media, because we all know YouTube is not going to be suggesting this apparently. And apparently now what their new position is, and this was vis-a-vis an interview by Axios with the CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai. They actually asked him to, what he thought about all this, and he said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to start trying to prevent borderline content. I have absolutely no idea what that means. I just know that you guys are here watching the channel, so thank you for your help and support. And we're actually going to watch a clip from that interview later here in the show, and we're going to talk about it. But like I said, you guys got to share these videos if you want them to get out there. So thank you so much to everybody who has shared all of that. Now, here's the story that I want to cover. And this was just put up by Shepard and Bellis over at IntelliHub. And what it talks about is an eyewitness saw a second shooter firing an automatic high-powered rifle outside Route 91 venue on October 1st. Now, if you guys don't remember, the Las Vegas massacre was an incredible tragedy of just most horrific proportions, where I think it was 58 people actually died, and then there were over 400 people who were injured. And it was just, I remember that was just one of those things that it was unbelievable. But it seems like it was just yesterday. Now, remember, the dates on here matter. So October of 2017 was before Q was even around. So what we're going to look at here is kind of what Q told us about all of this. But first, I want to actually go through this document that's being produced here. So this is a document that was released and declassified back in March of 2019. And now we are about 3 months later, and this IntelliHub, I guess, picked this document as a starting point to actually tell a story of a woman who seems to have attended the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival, where so many people tragically lost their lives, and she had an incredible story to tell the investigators from the Bureau of Investigation that she saw a second shooter, and I believe even possibly a third shooter. So I want to read you the statement after we kind of go through the story here, because it's really a short story and the statement's pretty short, so we can get through it all. But it basically is saying the eyewitness told investigators with the Bureau that she and about 20 other concert goers managed to escape the venue grounds and head northwest toward Tropicana during the third volley of gunfire. When she reached the parking lot, she saw a person whom she did not believe was an officer with a automatic high-powered rifle firing his gun. The report says she ran past him and left the festival grounds, ducking into the Tropicana. So again, here's the actual document that we're looking at, which is seems to be an intake document of a witness report, and it has redacted information. Obviously, this person's personal information, phone number, email address, all that stuff. I wouldn't share that. That would be very wrong, and I'm glad it's redacted for good reason, I'm sure. But it says here, it says blank was to the right of the catwalk about 10 heads back when she heard 2 fireworks go off at the Treasure Island show. Right after the fireworks, she heard a string of firecrackers about 5 feet in front of her. Within seconds, the shooting started. On the first clip, she got down. And by the second clip, everyone got down. On the third clip, her and about 20 others started to run diagonal toward the Tropicana. When she reached the parking lot, she saw a person whom she did not believe was an officer with an automatic high-powered rifle firing his gun. She ran past him and left the festival grounds, ducking into the Tropicana. There was another shooter underneath the kitchen or laundry room of the Tropicana. She did not see him, but he started firing. The group started running out from their hiding place, and a person in front of her was shot. She tripped over him, and her boyfriend caught her. The group, now about 12 to 15, continued to the IT department and locked themselves in. They called security, and a guard took them back to the strip. When security said it was clear, Blank called her friends to see if they were okay and was told they were safe. And at the MGM Grand, Blank heard gunfire and her friends saying, "I have to go." Blank says saw masses of people running from the front of the MGM Grand. Some were bleeding. Blank and her boyfriend met up with her friends at a private apartment nearby. Blank and her friends believe there were more than one shooter. Now, that's pretty compelling eyewitness account to me. I mean, that when you read through that, you read through the statement. I guess this is as an intake form, which is, I would say this is dictated by an FBI agent who assumedly took this information firsthand off of the eyewitness, who is not named here. Now, what this is insinuating, more or less, is that there were multiple shooters, meaning there wasn't just one or two, that there were multiple venues at which we were having gunfire occur. Now, that in and of itself could have been anything. Let me just say this. I think a lot of people skip over the fact that Las Vegas used to be a town, and probably to a degree, maybe a little more corporate, but it used to be a lot of the good old boys, or whatever you call them, good fellas, right? I don't know what they call these people. Good old fellas? Is that it? Old fellas. Goodfellas is a movie. Anyway, you get what I'm saying, right? These guys this is Las Vegas, where I wouldn't be surprised if some of these old school security guys would have an AR-15 in their trunk and would try to do some vigilante stuff and say, all right, I'm going to take him on like he's Rambo. Let's put that out there. Let's put another idea out there that our military knew what was going to happen, and they had plainclothes officers in wait, or basically at the event, in order to prevent this from happening. And if that were the scenario, then it could be possible that those officers, those military personnel who were there, I would say, let's not say military, let's say just clandestine officers, that those individuals were heroes because they stopped something much worse from happening. Now, then there's the third theory that you can presume off of this, that there were multiple individuals involved in a coordinated attack, and it wasn't just this individual who has obviously been named and died in the incident. Because I wouldn't be saying this if I didn't have something to go off of as far as what Q has told us, and what, that's what this is. This is just an analysis, just asking questions. So before everybody gets angry and says, hey, this is this or that, or you don't know what you're talking about, you're crazy. Well, is it crazy to ask questions? I mean, that's what I don't like about where our information's going today. It's like you ask a question and people are like, man, we should ban them. It's like, what? We're asking questions here. Come on, people. Anyway, says, moreover, the report mentions the presence of an additional shooter who the eyewitness believes was located underneath the kitchen or laundry room of the Tropicana. The exact location of that Joe Napoli and others saw brass shell casings strewn about the parking lot, as was reported on this by this individual back in November of 2017. So here we are. This is the story. Now, let's kind of juxtapose this against what Q has told us about the Las Vegas incident, massacre, whatever you want to call it. It was a tragedy. It was awful. We pray. Thoughts and prayers, obviously, are with the family of those deceased. I mean, it's and friends. I mean, I know I knew people who were in Las Vegas when that happened, and I'll just leave it there. But yeah. It's a crazy world we live in, right? So, with that, I want to go back to what I was talking about before. We're going to talk about Q, and when he directly mentions Las Vegas is back here in November of 2017, or actually, yeah, I believe it was. And this is the one I want to share, November of 2017, November 5th. This talks about Las Vegas, and I think it is wildly appropriate considering what, like, in order to get the full context of the story. I think this is a wildly appropriate post to share. And this is merely asking questions that I think we still have yet to fully answer to this day. That it's sad that we have to do this because the mainstream media won't. So let's read it. Seth Rich only mentioned because it directly relates to Saudi Arabia, and then it talks about Las Vegas. So it says Las Vegas. What did the reported what hotel did the reported gunfire come from? What floors specifically? Who owns the top floors? So here, the top floor, I think it's 4 or 5 floors of the Mandalay Bay are actually owned by the Four Seasons Hotel. And I think it's operated as the Delano Hotel. So because the Four Seasons runs directly out of the top floors of the Mandalay Bay, that's what Q's obviously referring to when it's saying top floors, who owns the top floors. And now what was being alleged that there was some sort of I think it was a Saudi weapons conference that was there, or meeting, some sort of meeting that was taking place in the hotel at the time. But that's kind of irrelevant to the fact of this story because, I mean, it all tied back in later because that's part of one of the major theories is that this was somehow coordinated through some faction of the Saudis. And that's going to get into some other things. So it's kind of like this is where the snowball started, I guess. But it says, why is that relevant? What was the shooter's name? It was Stephen Paddock. It says, what was his net worth? I guess he had a lot of money. And it says, how do you identify a spook? Obviously, a lot of people have speculated this guy was a clown in action. Take the first letter of each one of those words and put them in order, and you know what I'm talking about here. So was this an operation that was pushed out of the farm, or was this guy obviously an ex-farm candidate or CIA guy? Look, this is really bad, whatever happened here, and it very well could have included more than one person here. So it says, how do you identify a spook? What can historical data collection reveal? Was there any eyewitnesses? Who? Was he registered as a security guard? Why is MS-13 important? So think of it this way. What this is kind of saying is if he was somehow involved in this, was it some sort of clown operation with the Saudis that Stephen Paddock was working in? That, I guess that's kind of the insinuation here when you read it. That's the question, I guess. Why is MS-13 important? Well, we all know that these deep state people have been alleged to be using gangs like MS-13 to do their dirty work. It says, what doesn't add up? Was there only one shooter? Why was JFK released? And that's the real important question here. Was there only one shooter? And then it talked about how, now if you guys remember, this was back around the time that President Trump was trying very hard to declassify fully the JFK files. But I think there was a big pushback and he ended up having to only declassify portions. But those portions seem to infer that it's very possible there were multiple shooters involved in that assassination. And then when you take that and you put it against what happened here in Las Vegas and the inference being made by Q, you have to look at these facts and say, well, then there's more information here. And it's a sad state of affairs where we don't have anybody really investigating this from a journalistic standpoint besides independent creators on the internet like myself and many others who look into these things. But This is really disturbing. And it says, was there only one shooter? Who was in Las Vegas during this time? What was the real mission? Speculate. Why are survivors dying randomly? What do each of these survivors have in common? Did they talk on social media? What did they see, or what did they say? Were they going to form a group? Why is this relevant? How did they die? What CIA report was released by WikiLeaks? What can control a car? How did 2 of the survivors die? Car crash. How does this connect to Saudi Arabia? What just happened in Saudi Arabia? Who owns the top floors of the hotel? What happened today in Saudi Arabia? To who specifically? Was POTUS in Las Vegas that night? Yes, no. Why was he there? Who did he have a classified meeting with? Did Air Force One land at McCarran? What unmarked tail numbers flew into McCarran that night? Trace Air Force One that entire day. What do you notice classified Q? This is insanity. So imagine this. Let's put a theory out there based off of this post and ask the question, would it have been possible that President Trump was involved in a clandestine operation to meet with the Saudis somehow to negotiate some sort of agreement where they would actually surrender some of their top princes who have been involved in some of the most heinous crimes with our country, namely Prince Al-Walid bin Talal and others, which is what you saw. This is when this all came out, guys. This was what Q was telling us from the beginning, is it was all about the Saudi purge. The purge of the princes was the purge of the people that tried to ambush the deal, the clandestine deal that President Trump was trying to make behind closed doors with Saudi Arabia. Listen, I know people who were in Las Vegas who weren't there for a vacation, okay? They were activated and they were there for a specific reason. I'm guessing. I haven't been told anything, so I'm not divulging anything. I'm just speculating here that there were individuals who were in that city that night who were involved with some sort of clandestine operation which involved some sort of element of the president being in that city, and that something went wrong. Somebody tried to screw the whole thing up, and it turned into one of the most horrific massacres in our history, and that's why it's all classified. You guys got goosebumps yet? So what does this all mean? When we look back at the Q post, sometimes we can put things together that weren't obvious or clear at the time. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time for us to get past these events so that we can look back and say, there may be more here. This is one of those situations where I'm very much intent that there was a lot more going on. If the President of the United States was in Las Vegas on the night that shooting occurred in some sort of clandestine negotiation with the Saudis, and then subsequently, less than a few weeks after this happened, where somebody tried to ambush this meeting and it turned into a massacre, you have the Saudi prince purge where you have half of the Saudi princes rounded up and detained. Now, why do you think that is? Is it because they tried to set up our president and it cost us almost 60 American lives? I hate to be the one reporting this to you because it truly is a tragedy, no matter how you look at it. And that might explain the media blackout, and that might explain why nobody wants to talk about this. But when Q says what was released by WikiLeaks about the clowns and what can control a car, well, I'll tell you what. Let's go to CNN. We'll go to the people themselves and get their report talking about the couple who survived the Las Vegas shooting dying in a car crash. Another victim here, another Las Vegas massacre survivor dies weeks later, this time in a hit and run. Were these individuals going to form some sort of group to say that they had seen more shooters? Were some of the people who were there, who were armed, possibly even firing, working on behalf of the good guys, trying to protect citizens? I guess these are all good questions, none of which I truly have the answer to. But I can tell you right now that this story is not over yet. And there's a lot more to this story than I think the American people may ever know. But to all the people, men and women, who lost their lives that night, We pray for their souls. We pray for their family and their loved ones and their friends. And it's truly a tragedy. But this is why Q tells us, you are the one who has to choose to want to know more. You're the one who has to want to go further and seek out this information, because this information might not be pleasant, might not be comfortable, but sometimes it just needs to be told. So for that, I'm truly thankful that I am able to share this with you, and I hope that you guys see this and it helps you understand the severity and how this is real. This is not a game. This is very, very real. So, yeah, that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. So I want to say thank you for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. A few more things before we go. Obviously, come here, click the subscribe button if you guys want to help the channel out. Hit the big bell if you want to be notified when these videos get posted, and hit the thumbs up button if you guys like this content, want to see me make more. Share these videos on your social media, get the word out that way. Also, don't forget to leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below, because on this one, I really am interested very much to hear what you guys have to say, because I'm not sure what to make of all this information other than to think that there is a lot more to this story than we even could imagine at this point. But I'll leave that for you guys to figure out down in the comments, and we'll have a conversation down there. But a few other ways you can help out the channel. Obviously, you can come over here and find me on Twitter at JustInformedTalk, and this is at JustInformU. That's the Twitter handle, at JustInform, the letter U. And thanks to everybody who comes over here and follows me. Also, don't forget to come check me out over here on justinformednews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk, where you get links to all the Q stuff, links to different news websites, and also links to all the different breaking news. And of course, you'll get all of the latest videos here from the channel. So that's a cool way you can get your information as well. Another way you can help out the channel, come over here and check out my new podcast. I just launched this new channel. It's called Just Informed Podcast. And I really want you guys to come over here, hit that subscribe button, and hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted. But we're going to keep doing long form interviews and different stories, and just kind of like a behind the scenes of the channel here, and just more content for you guys to devour. So I hope you enjoyed that. Also, here is a couple other ways you can help out the channel itself. You can come here and you can support the channel by basically coming to Patreon, patreon.com. It's a crowdfunding website. And of course, when you come here, you click the become a patron button, and that helps the channel out big time. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. Now you're helping create content. And I also have a GoFundMe set up if you might want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. You guys keep this channel alive, so I just say thank you. Truly. Now, why do I need your help? Well, it's because of stuff like this. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of this interview with the Google CEO and this person, and we're going to talk about it.
I mean, all of us, none of us want harmful content on our platforms. I think last quarter alone, we removed 9 million videos from the platform. More recently, we have introduced, just like today we do this in search, we rank content based on quality. And so we're bringing that same notion and approach to YouTube so that we can rank higher quality stuff better and really prevent borderline content which doesn't exactly violate policies which need to be removed, but which can still cause harm. And so we are working hard. It's a hard computer science problem. It's also a hard societal problem, because we need better frameworks around what is hate speech, what's not, and how do we as a company make those decisions at scale and get it right without making mistakes.
So, I mean, as you saw there, that was an interview conducted with Sundar Pichai by Axios. And I wanted to talk about this because this is why YouTube is really in this transformative period where they're making every effort, it seems, to get rid of the independent creator, because we're asking the questions that are uncomfortable. We're doing the work that our own media won't do. We're doing the incredible job of trying to uncover truths, not because we're trying to make some multi-billion-dollar corporation, but because we are invested in what comes from our country, how our country grows and develops. And it seems like these individuals who have gained this huge amount of power in Silicon Valley are not afraid to use it to not only censor us, but then to manipulate the masses, and then to indoctrinate the masses, and then also they can dehuman people. I mean, if you lose your digital identity to a certain degree, it's like you're having your whole personality taken away. You're having your personhood taken away, your whatever you want to call it. And this is really your humanity, if you will. Because this is a huge way in how we communicate and how we barter and how we exchange ideas. And if you start relegating individuals into these, as Matt Drudge pointed out a long time ago, he said the phrase, I believe it was, digital gulags. And these are places where individuals who commit the crime of free thought and free speech get thrown into. And there's a lot of people out there that would say, this is really the sign of the times and where the new digital landscape as far as entertainment, media, and news is going, where these large corporations are starting to realize a huge loss of market share, and then that is causing a reactionary force where they're trying to shut down the independent creators. But at the same time, there are other entities involved who are truly, in my humble opinion, evil, who are involved with a broader conspiracy to basically shut down free speech, to control thought, and to control the narrative. As I've said before, there's a reason why YouTube ran at a loss for so long and nobody cared. And I think it even still this day barely turns a profit, if any at all. It's because what's more powerful, having some money now, or having control of the information that you can use to your advantage to make more money? If you can convince people to believe all this craziness, if you could push them to watch videos of people doing makeup tutorials, you're going to help the makeup industry sell makeup, right? And the more that independent creators kind of barge into that, system and produce content that's not specifically geared toward a national brand or a big brand, they'll get silenced and shut down. And then you have other people who are involved with this who are literally trying to hide and try to hide the corruption and hide the criminality because they're possibly involved with it. So there's just so many layers to this. I just wanted to bring that to you and show it. So I hope you guys thought that was an interesting piece, but that's why I really appreciate your help on the channel. I'll have links to everything in the description if you guys want to help out. Before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. For this segment, what I'd like to do is read a little verse. It's out of Psalm 111, and it's verse 10. And it says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. All who follow his instructions have good insight. His praise endures forever." Simple. Not easy, simple. But it's true. Fearing the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Now, to me, that means humility. That means humbling yourself before God, understanding that God is almighty and all powerful, and his grace is a gift that we've been given, but that fear in reverence toward the Lord is what we are called to do. And that in and of itself produces courage and strength and wisdom, and those are the things that we need in this world to be successful. So I think that's your starting point. If you're out there and you're having trouble with your family or friends or loved ones, and you're trying to figure out what's wrong with my life, why is nothing going the way I want it to, try this. Try to start by understanding that having fear of the Lord and is the beginning of wisdom. It's the beginning of everything. So that's where I'm going to leave it. God bless each and every one of you. I want to say thank you for watching this episode. A few more things. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Hit the like button. Smash it, punch it, bop it. Do whatever you got to. Make sure you hit it. Lets me know you want to see more of these videos. But that's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.